first car race action of the weekend at the 71st Macau Grand Prix is almost upon us as the cars are making their way round to the grid for the Macau Roadsport Challenge race. And the man on pole position is Geronimo Badaraco, who had a really good qualifying session yesterday to put himself at the top of the times ahead of the experienced Lei Kit-Meng, who is going to be another man to watch, having dominated free practice on Thursday. On the second row of the grid, it is Chan Chak Yi, and then lining up alongside him, Aaron Kwong, ahead of Li Ming Yip and Mo Chi Fai, another quick driver, for sixth on the grid. Seventh is where you find Rui Valente, ahead of Yung Chut Lum. Chu Kang Wen is next, ahead of Michael Wong, with Chan Chi Ha lining up 11th, and 12th being Cheliao Vashtias, another driver who knows his way around this circuit very well indeed. Feng Hoi Tong comes through ahead of Su Yang Hong and Gerald Lau. There is Huang Ka Kit and Tang Yu Qing next, ahead of Wang Ka Hong. At the back of the grid, Lam Chan Chung, Zhao Ming, ahead of He Wei Hang and Kwok Kai Wing, with Vicky Law 23rd, 24th Chen Ka Chun, and 25th being Wu Wei Hung. The front of the grid, though, is going to be all about Geronimo Badaraco and Lei Kit-Meng, two really quick drivers. There is Lei Kit-Meng, former British Formula 3 championship racer. Now, quick word about the road sports. There are so many of them in the championship that they are split into two groups, and for the purposes of this weekend, those that are in the top 14 at the end of the championship in each group go into the what you might call main race, the Macau SAR Establishment Cup. And if you're 15th and back in the championship, you go into the Road Sport Challenge. And that's what we've got here. So these, in a sense, are the, I won't say less good, but the less successful drivers out of the championship, either because of bad luck or not doing every race or general ability. But what we do have is another full grid and a really lively race in prospect. It's going to be 12 laps. David Addison trackside, joined by Alan Hyde.
And it's quite a thing to be first on the bill, isn't it? We've had free practice day on Thursday here at Macau. We've had qualifying day. But when the grid lines up, when you get cars forming up on the tarmac here at Macau, and all of the colour and the razzmatazz that goes with it. It's all lined up just directly in front of us down there. The colours of Macau, the smiles of Macau. I've already been in the grandstand this morning. Feels a lot more like normal Macau. We've had 2 wet days here so far. Today, it's very, very hot. It's very humid. It's slightly overcast, so we've not seen full sunshine today, but it's great to see packed grandstands and umbrellas out for the right reason. For the sun. To
keep some of that temperature off, you're absolutely right. Now, this grid is almost good to go. As I say, 12 laps are in prospect. The Macau Gear circuit, 6 kilometres long, and some very enthusiastic drivers, some very charismatically liveried cars as well. Geronimo Badaraco has been around here for season after season after season, knows exactly what he's doing. And was a bit of a slow burn on the Thursday free practice. Now, you might say that was because it was wet, but he didn't really sparkle in the way that yesterday he just got better and better and better and better as the session wore on. 67 there, you can see the car of Aaron Kwong. He will start 4th on this grid. And he was another driver that chipped away yesterday, 84, Chan Chak Yin. Now, that was a car that ended up in the barriers at the end of the session, and the front of it is a rather different colour than it used to be, but they've repaired it, so that's the good news. And got him back onto the grid. The Roadsport Challenge regulations are not quite one make, it's 2 make. You can either have a Toyota GR86 or a Subaru BRZ as your weapon of choice, and for Mo Chi Fai, he goes the Subaru route.
So I just want to see what these little cuddly animals are that are being carried down on the grid, because there is always a photo opportunity before and after all of the races. And today there was a predominance of teddy bears down there on the grid, little teddy bears which I think are pandas. So, right. So that's which are being waved around as a cheerleader would wave those little pom-pom things. I think it's little pandas that are down there. Macau is unique. You won't see the things around the races that you see here at Macau anywhere else in the world. And the girls right at the front, I think, have got little miniature helmet replicas, haven't they, before this first race? So it's something very special at Macau. There's nothing quite like it.
All representing SJM Resorts, one of the key sponsors for many, many years for the Macau Grand Prix. Rui Valente there, a little bit further back on the grid. The Macau driver in another of the Subaru BRZs. And Michael Wong for the Winston Motorsports team. He goes the Toyota route. And every car you look in, you find a driver absolutely bubbling with enthusiasm, you're going to get going, thumbs up, big smile, you name it. There's nobody that sort of looks away from the camera. They are all up for the fight, including their Chu Ken Kwan, who was 18th in his group this year. Again, look, thumbs up, ready to go, ready to rock and roll. And do not think for a moment that because these are local drivers, local teams, they're in any way substandard, because these are proper professional teams that operate these cars and are very, very good teams and drivers indeed, evinced by the success of the championship, because there are so many cars now that get us across the Roadsport Challenge and the Establishment Cup. There is Chan Chi Ha, who is 11th on the grid, number 25, Chan Chi Ha, who was 20th in Group A. There's no real demarcation between the groups, but I think it turned out that Group A was the slightly tougher one. 66, you can see as well, is So Yang Hong, another driver from Macau, with his Subaru BRZ. And number 5 for the redoubtably named Monkey Racing is Feng Hoi Ting, and that's another of the Subaru BRZs.
In this part of the world, they're very keen on little cartoons.
Yeah,
and the Monkey Racing team have got a great little logo on the side of the car. Proof of that this morning as we were walking in, slightly later than normal, because here at Macau we've had motorcycles already on track this morning. So we came in slightly later. The queues for the merchandise, and so many of them have got little cartoon characters or whatever that are the main feature of the bits of merchandise. They went on as far as the eye could see.
Yeah.
It was quite incredible. The police were having to make sure that people were keeping over to one side of the pavement so that people could carry on walking. It's amazing. This is a feel-good event. It's a feel-good place.
Yes, when I walked in, there was quite a lot of shouting between a man in the queue and a man who wasn't. So hopefully they resolved their shoutiness and got their merch that was required. But somebody had been standing there for rather a long time, I feel.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. So, looking down onto the grid, just picking out one or two more of the drivers, such as Tang Yu Ching, also in the Mogan Team Track Day King car. Drivers have pretty much faced everything over the weekend, because Thursday was pretty much wet all day, full wet. Then we progressed yesterday to damp and greasy, and today to bone dry and hot and sunny, and it's getting sunnier and sunnier. In the last 20 minutes, the sun has really burnt through. It's been hot and humid all weekend. I can vouch for that, having been out running again this morning, and it was not a pleasant sight. But it's so humid, and hopefully, when the sun breaks through, it'll sort of burn off the humidity and it'll just become quite dry. But it's very, very warm indeed. Lots of people in the shorts as well as the T-shirts. And Geronimo Badaraco then, sitting on pole position, is ready to get going for 12 laps in this Macau Roadsport Challenge.
So the grid is being cleared of personnel now, and it's even that process is done in a very well-disciplined order to finally get just the members of the teams that are not only responsible for starting the cars, but also to get as much air on the driver before things get underway. Okay, when adrenaline gets going and the race gets going, they don't think about how warm and humid and sticky it is inside the car. But make no mistake, with fireproof overalls, with balaclavas, with helmets, and the doors all shut, it's going to get pretty warm over the next 10 laps around the gear circuit at Macau.
Can I just take issue with something you said about the personnel leaving the grid? It's personnel and peacocks. There is a man dressed, or a person dressed as a giant peacock. He has a checkered flag in his hand, and he's just been able to squeeze between the gap in the arm cone, walk into the pit lane, and there are toy peacocks to greet him now, so you need one of those, I can say.
Can I take issue with what you've just said?
Go on.
And say, no, that's a real peacock. It's massive. Absolutely huge. And it's a welcome return to Macau as well. It's a multicoloured, mainly sort of turquoise and yellow and green peacock that does appear over quite a few occasions on the grid down here.
And I'm sure we'll see it again over the weekend. We'll draw attention to it. Right, the grid is being cleared, which means we're not far away from
they draw attention to themselves, racing. Really. That's what peacocks do.
True. Brewer the lead you've just seen, and 36 there is Yun Chuk Lun. Right, a one-by-one staggered grid as well, just to make it a slightly safer start with the cars separated. Macau's gear circuit is unusual in many ways. It's one of the few venues these days where the start and finish line are in the same place. The timing line and the start line are the same. So everybody is lined up, ready to go. They will have one final formation lap, and then we will be in business for what was going to be 12 laps, but has been reduced to 10, hasn't it?
10 laps, yeah.
Yes, one grid sheet says 12 and one grid sheet says 10.
Yeah, from what I saw, we've had to squeeze things in today.
Yeah.
So, although the timing of the races is the same, 10 laps is the scheduled period of time. And as we continue to take the camera crew down the grid, you see just how happy, excited. There we go. There's the Monkey Racing logo emblazoned on the front and the side of the car of Feng Hoi Ting in the Subaru. And then these one of two very beautifully liveried. We've talked about the livery of So Yang Hong's car, the Subaru, the pink and seafoam green car, and of course that's replicated in opposite directions as far as the colours on the car are concerned on the very front of the grid with Geronimo Badaraco's car. There we go. That's the grid as it lines up, and the last few personnel being cleared from the grid to get this race underway, and we've got just a couple of minutes to wait until they're sent off on their final formation lap.
Now, one of the nice things about these cars, which operate in a kind of production sports car specification, they're as close to a road-going car as you're going to find this weekend. They're pretty narrow. Even the TCR touring cars have got flared wheel arches and aero and whatnot, so these are as narrow a car as you'll find here this weekend, and that means that not only the ability to overtake is perhaps greater than in some categories, but the locations at which you can do it change as well. So as you look down onto the grid, you can see that the track looks a little bit wider when these cars are on it than it does for, let's say, full-blown GT3 cars that we'll be looking forward to a little bit later on in the day. The grid stretching all the way back. Sorry, Alan.
Where you really notice that is at the Macau hairpin when they're negotiating the run out of the corner, and they are significantly further away from the barrier on the exit as any other cars that we see over the course of this weekend. So that's where you really notice a little bit neater, a little bit narrower, and a little bit neater on the exit.
So we have the 15-second board just being shown, and that means that very shortly the drivers are going to be ushered away, a chance to get a bit of warmth into the tyres, and then we will be in business for this sole race for the Roadsport Challenge drivers. There are two races, if you like, for Roadsport cars, but you're in one each. You're either in the Roadsport Challenge race or the Establishment Cup as they accelerate now away from the grid. And I'm almost tempting fate by saying how well prepared and how immaculate the cars look, bearing in mind it could get quite leery when they go racing, especially with now fewer laps, just the 10 in which to sort themselves out. The grid, I think, was complete as I ran through it, no gaps upon that. So everybody then weaving around on the way down through Reservoir. The next is a right-hand, on a map it was like a kink, but it's a full-blown corner at high speed of Mandarin. Most of the corners here named after either local landmarks and or hotels. So you go past the Mandarin Hotel and then you go down towards Lisboa.
So the sunshine has come out to welcome. I can just see it because some people are a little unprepared for it in the grandstand and are putting coats over their heads now because the sunshine is pretty intense when it comes out, and something that would normally be in place over the course of the 4 days of the Macau Grand Prix. The tarpaulin roof over the grandstand has not been put up. I thought it was going to be put up last night. They've had very windy weather, very wet weather, as we can see them dealing with some fluid down on the grid actually, and that would be around about the location where the 84 car would have been, and they're just mopping up. The track workers are working by Mo Yin's car, so in Chan Chak In's car, and I think they're done with that, done with the mopping up process.
I had a horrible feeling that was the side of the grid where Lake Kit Meng had been, on the outside of the front row.
Okay.
So I fear slightly for the driver that was quickest on Thursday and second quickest yesterday, but we'll see. It might just have been a slight overfill of oil.
Yes.
But certainly the team wasn't concerned, otherwise they would have done something about it. There is Lake Kit Meng making his way in pursuit of Geronimo Badaraco on this formation lap. So yes, 10 laps, the duration. And over the seasons, there have been lots of different sort of local races, whether they've been celebrity one-mate races, whether they have been for the Roadsport Challenge, which for a number of years was a catch-all, wasn't it, of random sort of Subarus and Minis and all sorts of things. But the regulations tweaked for last year to come up with this really successful format for the Toyota and the Subaru.
and for many years, the predominance of Peugeot RCZs.
That's right.
Which,
yes, you're right.
Which were unique to this area. They weren't even a particularly prevalent road car. Certainly in the UK, you see very few of them. Saw one a couple of weeks ago and took a photograph of it. It's such a rarity. But there were a huge amount of them over here for many years and providing great entertainment as well. But this is the next generation, if you like, of motorsports in the area.
Now, Macau hairpin, Alan, let's quickly just tick that off the to-do list, as it were, because there's a special regulation around the hairpin here, isn't there?
There certainly is, yeah. It's a constant yellow flag throughout the course of the 4 days of the Macau Grand Prix. That means no overtaking, not necessarily because nothing has happened there. Occasionally, over the last couple of days, things have happened there, but you can't overtake there simply because, well, we wouldn't really have a race meeting, would we? There isn't the space to do it. So you have to go through single file around the Macau hairpin. Just after you come out of the corner, you see the big LED panel board. It'll be showing green. That means we're back into overtaking situation. But around the Macau hairpin, well, it's pretty obvious when you get to there. No overtake. Be a great overtaking spot if you just had another couple of meters, wouldn't it?
Yes. And in the old days, I think you could overtake there, but over the time, cars have got wider and wider and wider. That's why I quite like these narrow Subarus and BRZs. I'm still trying to work out which one I'd like to take home with me, whether it's a Toyota or a Subaru. But you think Subaru and you do think rally car, don't you? Whether it was the initial Legacy or the Impreza. But we've had in touring car racing estate Subaru Levorgs of recent years in the UK. And here these very smart BRZs taking on the Toyota GR86, that Gazoo Racing tag given to the Toyotas. So the front of the grid forms up. The 71st Macau Grand Prix, it's fair to say, has had a tough first couple of days, largely thanks to the weather. That's disrupted the timetable. It has also triggered lots of incidents. There's been quite a lot of damage. And so we're looking forward to a really good, clean day of racing as the cars funnel their way through Black Sands down towards Fisherman's Bend. And it's a long wait for the front of the grid, isn't it? I hope Geronimo Badaraco's... We've got about the top 6 on the grid and nobody else is in sight.
So long because Aaron Kwong has just had the opportunity. No, you need another gear because twice he has now selected reverse gear to make sure that he is absolutely where he wants to be in his grid position. Fortunately, he's got plenty of time to do it because only now do we have row 4 coming into view. That's a long wait, you know.
It is, and it rather scuppers the whole purpose of a green flag lap, to get warmth into the tyres, because while he's sitting there, it dissipates. But Geronimo Badaraco has had time to change podcasts now. He's been sat there on pole for so long and put something on now to concentrate his attention for the start of the race. It is the first race of the weekend at the 71st Macau Grand Prix. It is the Macau Roadsport Challenge, and it is Geronimo Badaraco and Lei Kit Meng on the front row.
About to get our first race of the 71st Macau Grand Prix underway. Eyes to the gantry, the green flag waved at the back of the field. The lights come on, the engine notes rise. Who's going to get the best of starts? Well, very good start from Geronimo Badaraco, but also a good start for Lei Kit Meng. Yesterday in qualifying, there was so little to choose between the two of them, and the top 3 have already got a little bit of a gap before the rest of the field. This is just an iconic shot of the Macau Grand Prix. The run, the wide tarmac, the 4 lanes, if you like, of normal Macau roads, all heading in to the pinch point, and it's Lei Kit Meng.
Very bravely goes round the outside. Bad start they made by 84, which was Chan Chak Yin from 3rd on the grid. His repaired car going backwards, so he's lost a whole heap of places as they come down to this bar. A little bit of debris flies from Aaron Kwong's car. He's on the outside. Lei Kit Meng leads the way. Round the outside for second goes Aaron Kwong. I don't think he's going to make the corner, and he goes wide, so up the inside to retake second place goes Geronimo Badaraco. It is Lei Kit Meng in the lead. Badaraco goes second, and I reckon third is Mo Chi Fai. That's a very good start because he's up from 6th on the grid as they make the climb up San Francisco Hill for the first time of asking. So Lei Kit Meng may not have got the best of starts, but what he did do was get the toe and was able to jump past Badaraco on the way to Mandarin. Badaraco back up to second, but Mo Chi Fai in the red car third is looking really menacing in that Subaru. He's the one to watch.
Through the twisty section, and yeah, oh my goodness, for the first time. goodness me, it does get extremely tight here. And you mentioned the fact that the cars are a little bit more narrow than everything else that we see racing over the course of this weekend. But even they get very, very close to the walls and the barriers on this, the climbing section of the circuit, changing undulation, changing direction as well through the Solitude S's up towards the left-hander at Pyle and up towards Faraway Hill. And this is a real pinch point. The right-hander at Police on towards the quick right-hander at Moorish. And we've had quite a few moments here. What happened here?
This was just getting sideways and
just
then more sideways. That was Aaron Kwong, and then a big, big slide for Li Mingyit. Now, he was 15th in his group in the championship, Li Mingyit, and that means that he is, in theory, the best of that group within this race, but he's only in 6th place at the moment as they come to the Macau hairpin for the first time. Gap down a little bit between Lee and Badarako, and then Mochi Fai in 3rd place as they break for the corner. But then look, it all stretches back out again as they come towards Black Sand. So there is Lei Kit Meng in the lead of the race and using all of his experience of many, many years. Oh dear, we've got a track blockage, and that has happened heading towards the top of the hill, and it's triggered by number 11 Chelio Alves Diaz, who's hit the wall, and the safety car is being deployed. So that's going to scoop up the race leaders, but we need to get Chelio Alves Diaz's car out of the way before anybody else can come through. So what are we going to have? We're going to have about 7 or 8 cars, I think, in the lead group. There is Chelio Alves Diaz, who's clearly hit the wall pretty hard, and there might be another car behind him, because I would suggest that people could have got round that. I reckon there's another one involved that's blocked the track.
I think you're right, and with the safety car deployed, I was about to say, before we got that camera shot of Chelio Alves Diaz's car, that, well, I was going to actually applaud them, because Roadsports have been really, compared to some of the other forms of motorsport that we've had here at Macau over the last 2 days, have been one of the best behaved. They have been able to string multiple laps together without interruptions in free practice and in qualifying as well. And this is our first race of the weekend, and we've yet to complete 1 lap. So, yeah, it's a bit of a problem, that, isn't it?
Yeah, 1 lap done by the leaders, so it's 12 that have made it through, and Chelio Alves Diaz triggering the incident, I think, and we'll try and unravel. The problem now is that unless they can get his car out of the way and unblock the track before the safety car arrives, it's going to have to stop as well.
It will, yeah.
But that's sort of okay, because there is a time to the race, so hopefully they can release the pack behind, but the safety car will be in contact with race control. They'll say slow down, because there's nobody that's going to catch up to you for a while, and we need you to be as slow as possible so we can clear the circuit. In fairness to Chelio Alves Diaz, that's a name. Now I think the road might be clear, because another one has just come over the line. I was going to say he's somebody that should know his way around here. He's been here for many, many seasons, but he's been caught out on the opening lap. So the one car that's just gone through is number 13, which is Tang Yu Ching. So nobody else has come through behind. You know how there are more coming through now, yes, but slowly because of the safety car conditions. You know how a motorway might get blocked occasionally, and then finally it opens, and all of a sudden there's a stream of traffic.
Corks out the bottle.
Yeah, the first couple have gone through, but we're waiting for more. Gerald Lau's come by, Wu Wei Hung, I think, has come by as well, and into the pit lane. So number 88, Wu Wei Hung, who's got a bit of damage on the front of his car, comes into the pit lane. And the rest of the field are heading up San Francisco Hill. The damage to the car in the pits, Wu Wei Hung, is all at the back, so he's been clobbered. And here, the road is opening up. Look, cars are coming through, including one of the course cars and medical cars. So there's the safety car. There is Lei Kit Meng. Right, so the road is open. Now, as you look at 88 in the pit lane of Wu Wei Hung, that damage needs to be sorted out. So the second pack, as it were, has now been released and is in pursuit of the first wave of cars, and needs to get to the first wave before the second wave catches up with the back of the grid, if you see what I mean. We talked about how Macau is a challenge for the drivers, for the teams, but it is for race control as well, because it throws up a whole set of problems that are perhaps unique to anywhere else, but they're getting as rapidly as possible the circuit cleared.
It's a challenge for commentators as well. I've never known this commentary box quite as bright And the reason being, we were talking about that tarpaulin roof that goes over the grandstand. Normally that's a sort of a sunshade for us here in the commentary box. So problems for a commentator. It's a bit bright, so seeing the screen is a little bit difficult. So I'll put sunglasses on. It's so humid they steam up. So what do you do?
Now, I'm a bit worried that I've lost half the grid because there are a lot of cars that haven't come through, and that might mean that we've got something like 9 drivers involved in an accident, which will take a lot of clearing up, because genuinely we've got 15 that have come across the timing line, and if the rest of them have now been released, they should have come pouring through, and they have not. So number 4 missing, Cho Keng Kwan. Michael Wong is missing. We know about Chelio Alves Diaz, Kwang Kar Kit, Lam Chan Chung, Zhao Meng, Hu Wei Wang, Kwok Kei Wing, Vicky Law. I can't believe they've all piled into each other, but here they come, coming over the timing line. So you're looking at the leaders, and we are looking at the sort of lost boys, as it were, that we finally found. So this is the wave of cars for 16th, all going slowly.
5 of them.
Yeah, under the safety car as dictates, but they could push on a bit to catch up, because the safety car is closer to them than they are to the back of the train, if you see what I mean.
6.1 kilometre circuit, and they're quite a way behind. So, yeah, those 5 cars need to press on a little bit. The BMW that's at the front of the field, the safety car, was busy bright and early this morning, because when the motorcycles did go out first thing this morning, it was a damp circuit, a little bit damp, too damp for the motorcycles. So they were brought into the pit lane, and the idea was that the course cars, the various course cars, the safety car, course cars, the official vehicles, went out to try and get the certain elements of the circuit a little bit drier than they were, to allow qualifying to get underway for the motorbikes, and they did, which is really good news, because they had had a slightly frustrating couple of days dealing with a wet circuit. They don't race here at Macau on wet tarmac, so they were waiting for dry. We've got dry now, which is really good news. I have seen a weather forecast for today which was slightly different to the one that we had leading up to today, suggesting that there might be a possibility of a few little dribbles of rain over the course of today.
No, we're fine. We'll be fine. The leaders come over the line then. This is the end of lap number 2 of the 10. But it's the back of the pack that I'm concerned about mostly, because they need to be catching up, and it kind of goes without saying that if you're at the back, you're a bit slower anyway. And so they were taking their time coming over the line, doing what they should do to obey the safety car regulations, but that's going to give you 2 distinct groups around the circuit. And the other wave of cars will be not that far up the road from these. So it's going to take... What you can't do is release race cars to catch up to cars that are still going slowly and haven't taken a green flag. So the safety car, I would suggest, needs to go a bit slower now.
Yeah, to slow the field down so that we can have one big pack of road sports to get the race back underway. And as you rightly say, 10 laps or an allotted period of time. And that clock continues to count down, even though we're under full course yellow and under the control of the safety car. And 9 minutes and 40 remain on the clock as it counts down. And we have completed now 2 laps.
Now the road, hopefully, is clear, because you've released the bottleneck of cars, and as we've seen, everybody has gone through. So who did we lose out of all of that? It was Chelio Alves Diaz. No, we did lose 5 of them. We did lose quite a number. So perhaps understandably, it took a while to release the cork from the bottle. And although we only saw Chelio Alves Diaz, there were others involved, clearly. So maybe we are going to need a little bit more time under the safety car. Lei Kim Meng, the race leader, then illustrating why it's important to make a move on the opening lap, because you never know. We saw this in qualifying with red flags yesterday. You never know what might strike. Now there, look, recovery vehicles down at San Francisco. So did we have other incidents on the first lap? We didn't really focus on that part of the racetrack, but it looked as though there's at least 2 cars there that need retrieval. So bit by bit, we start to piece it all together. And very slowly up the hill, and they come to a halt heading up the hill, which makes me think that we need to move another couple of cars out of the way before the road is clear for the safety car to come through again.
Macau always offers unique challenges, doesn't it? And you never know quite what you're going to get. When you line up on the grid here at Macau, you are never sure how the ensuing half an hour, 25 minutes are going to be. And a lot of these drivers in the Macau Roadsport Challenge are hugely experienced here at Macau. And one of the things you have to have, one of the skills that you have to have, is patience. You have to wait until the course is clear, until cars are all in one group behind a safety car before you can get racing back underway. And it takes a little while. The course workers here at Macau really do know what they're doing. They work so quickly to get the track back into a race-worthy condition. And you know what? Although we've got cars now funneling their way through with recovery vehicles on track, potentially this is going to allow so that's the safety car coming through now.
Yeah, but look how close it is to the back of the pack.
To the back of the pack. Yeah, it's 6.1 kilometres behind, isn't it? So not sure quite how this is going to work out before we get the race back underway, as they thread their way up through the twisty section here at Macau.
Vicky Law there, number 34, in perhaps the most standard looking of cars. We looked at it the other day and thought they've forgotten to put the livery on it, but it is just a very, very standard red colour scheme.
Saw it arrive. Saw it arrive and thought that's a brand new car. I wonder if they're going to leave it as a brand new car, or if it's going to, like so many of these cars do, have their unique livery presented for day one. And indeed it has come absolutely as standard as it arrived on the container. And it certainly does stand out.
It does indeed. Guancar Kit then released, number 80, going up towards Donna Maria now, and the rest of the pack behind also trying to play catch-up, but the safety car shouldn't really be in much of a hurry to get going. It's a shame that we ended up with the two waves, because really the safety car needs to, as I say, stop for quite a long time and let others catch up. But as it does so, you risk other drivers not being able to restart. So there are the recovery trucks. The rather terrifying prospect of a truck Grand Prix at Macau looms. No, it doesn't. The two recovery trucks will make their way safely off the circuit. And I suspect, again, the safety car team are being told, just let them go. We're in no hurry.
Yes.
You know, as long as people have got the engines running, that's fine. Take your time, let the recovery vehicles go, and in your own time, then you can continue the lap. Looking into the distance, one of the big screens opposite the fans is the tracking map. And I think the safety car wave has now started moving again. So there, the rest of the field. Yes, there is the safety car back moving.
We've completed 2 laps, so 8 laps to go, and the clock counts up. So 14, just over 14 minutes completed of our first race of the 71st Macau Grand Prix is complete, and still that officials gantry. There are something like 6, 7, 8 officials that occupy the starting gantry. They've been dealing with all sorts of weather conditions over the last couple of days. It's been windy, it's been wet, but they are always absolutely on point with the information that they bring on board. The safety car board is being displayed, and flags as well. They all take it in turns. They all take it in turns to do each of the jobs up in that race control and in that gantry. And you would imagine that it's quite a privilege to be, you know, when you are designated your official role for the weekend, to be on the start line gantry. It's a pretty iconic view, that.
It is indeed, and it's where the green flag will be shown in due course. Now, I'm not seeing a green flag in anybody's hand as yet, but the safety car circulates once more. I think really we're still waiting for Group 2, if you like, to get closer to Group 1, but they're never going to get there.
So take ages.
Yeah, they're just going to have to let them go at some point, aren't they?
Yeah.
And in fairness, the safety car is at a reduced pace, and when the other wave of cars came past, they were going for it. They were absolutely tonking on. So there might be one more lap behind the safety car, but it's really to let the other group try to catch up now. The lights you can see still flash atop the safety car. When they're extinguished, it's the indication to the cars behind that the safety car will peel in, and safety car by the pit, says the timing screen. What I think that means is it will drive through the pit lane, which is slower, and that gives another opportunity for the cars at full pelt. Oh no, we're having a red flag now.
Red flag.
Yeah. Session suspended. So I think that's just because you have to let the others catch up.
We've got to get them all together to get the race back underway. So essentially get the get the race back underway and then view the race as two parts.
But they'll come into the pit lane, stop, let the others catch up, and then they can go.
Yes.
That's, I think, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be a long stoppage. It's just a suspension to let them catch up. It won't be a two-part race as such. The race is not being stopped, it's being suspended. So we're having a little break to wait for the others. You know, when you've been out on a long walk and somebody's puffing and panting at the back and you all stop and you wait for them. Well, that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for waiting.
It's what people do for me when I'm out running. They wait for me. Or they run round in a big circle known as the sympathy loop and wait till then you catch up. But anyway, this is the equivalent of that. We're having a little break while the stragglers catch up.
And the safety car has come into pit lane now. So just behind is Lei Kit Meng and Geronimo Badaracco bringing their cars into Mochi Bai just behind as they slowly come down the pit lane. And when the BMW brings them to a stop, wait for the entire field, the hugely colourful field for the Macau Roadsport Challenge. No two cars unless they're in the same team, with a similar livery. The thought that goes into coming up with unique and individual presentation of these, because it could so easily look so samey with only two types of car. But it doesn't. It is a huge variety, because this is a highlight of a motorsport year in Macau.
And it doesn't really, it's part of the creativity, and you were right in what you said earlier on about cartoon characters, but it's also the colours. You know, bright yellows, bright blues, there are lots of silvers, lots of, in some ways it's quite brash, but it's a cultural thing, is not reflected anywhere else. And we talked about it this weekend already, but the colour schemes here always stand out to us, coming from a different part of the world. And equally this weekend, over in Europe, is the annual Lamborghini World Finals. There is a Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia, and in the years I used to go there, you would look at the European teams, you'd look at the North American teams, and then you'd go, wow, because again, the livery of the cars coming from Asia would be just so different, and it really was highlighted against the more conventional colour schemes, creativity and designs from the rest of the world. Right, so we're still waiting. This gives one or two teams the chance to have a look at some damage, including their number 66 of So Yeng Hong, who's gone into the back of somebody, as you can see. But the car looks as though it's all right. That Subaru BRZ may have gone into the back of that when they came either into the pits or under the safety car.
Yeah.
That's quite a big whack, actually. So the scrutineers go and have a look. Who's he gone into the back of? Rui Valente's car. Aaron Kwong there, fourth in the queue. Right, and the rest are coming. They're all coming down the pit lane now. So the late arrivals at the Roadsport Ball are coming into the pits.
Which rather proves the point of this being the best way to get the race back underway, because that's been ages. We have waited really quite a long time for that second collection of cars to arrive in pit lane, which it does now. Our commentary box directly opposite pit lane, so we can see them threading their way in. I think we're all done. We've got more cars in the background. They are the road cars of Macau, going about their daily business. Have to get fairly used to doing that, to seeing cars, taxis, vans and all sorts on the other side of the barrier. Here we're concentrated on race cars, and I think we're getting close to being able to get this race back underway.
Should we announce the late arrivals at the Roadsport Ball? There's Mr. and Mrs. Baru BRZ and their daughter Sue, Baru BRZ. All right, that I won't bother. Chen Chihar is ready to go, back out. And the clock carrying on ticking. We've got 7 laps. In fairness, there is quite a large gap after this race before the next activity on track. So fingers crossed, we should be able to get things back underway pretty soon. Everybody is in now, so there's no real reason, I don't think, other than the teams having a look at the damage of the car, to be holding them in the pit lane for too long. We've got 3.5 minutes, really, before they're going to be allowed back out. So just to give everybody time, in fairness, to make sure the cars are okay. So the race will resume at 11:25, and it's about 21.5 now. So we're not too far away.
7 laps remain in this race, and we have completed 3 laps, albeit the majority of the kilometres covered have been covered behind the BMW safety car. But now we are very close to getting the race back underway, and we'll see what the restart is going to be. Behind the safety car?
Yeah, I would imagine it'll be 1 lap out of the pits, and then they'll let them go. Safety car restart. And as I say, it's not a stoppage, it's a suspension. So the safety car will take them back out and let them go. That would be my interpretation of it, certainly.
Phong Ting with a big thumbs up for the cameras, as so often you see, don't you, as the camera makes its way down past the drivers, they get the opportunity to show the car and their skills on a world stage. Geronimo Badaracco in that beautifully liveried car. Yeah, going forward.
But everybody, even though the race has not really started and not developed yet, and they're under a red flag, everyone's still keen and happy and enjoying themselves. They're all up the battle. It's great.
They get it. They get this event. We are lovers of motorsport, and so are they. And for this week every year, the eyes of the motorsport world focus on this small part of the world, and they know how important it is. It is, the enthusiasm is infectious, and it is just the greatest motorsport event. Superb.
Now there, look, you can see a little bit of tank tape has been put onto So Yang Hong's car after going into the back of Rui Valente. Aaron Kwong, he is set to go back out again, running as he is currently in 4th place. So the leaf blower gets a bit of cool air into the cockpit and shrug of the shoulders for Aaron Kwong, like, what are we waiting for? I don't know what's going on, but we all do, or at least we have an idea, because we haven't seen the accident itself. We've just seen the aftermath of Chelio Alves-Diash's car. So the other ones that we lost were around the circuit: Cho Keng Kwan, Michael Wong, Hu Hui Hang and Kwok Kai Wing. So that's accounted for 5 of them, I'm afraid to say. Funny, isn't it? When they've got damage, when they've triggered red flags, Alan's not claiming them to be his Roadsport Challenge cars that have been so impeccably behaved. Wonder why that is.
No, they're still mine.
Oh, okay.
They are absolutely brilliant. I love them. I love the first time I ever came to Macau and I saw the designs on the cars. I was sort of, wow, I'm at a different event. I'm at an event the like of which I have never been at before, and I've been in love with them ever since. It is just superb.
And it's great seeing these sort of indigenous categories as well, whether it's in Asia, America, Australia, you name it, because it does open your eyes to how motor racing is all around the world. Right, we're into the last minute before the race resumption, so the clock's carrying on. We will continue with the race going on to lap number 4 once they have got back underway. What's the character adorning the car of Phong Ting there? Any offers?
No. Another little cartoon character that presumably is extremely popular in the area because there are lots of them.
Indeed so. Right then, the clock has got to 11:25, and that means that the safety car now continues and the race is back underway. So we're under yellow flag conditions. We can't overtake, they can't overtake, and hopefully it'll be just one lap to then release the cars.
So they file the way down the pit lane, the BMW already on its way, and some of the cars looking a little bit more second-hand than about half an hour ago when we got the race started initially. But now is the time to do a bit of hard work, and that's to weave the cars to get heat back into the tyres. They would have had good amount of tyres. Mind you, we were talking about how long the top 3 rows had to wait. Heat dissipated from the tyres. Well, they can all do it together now because they will need to keep up with the pace of the safety car. That's an important point. That's the reason why we had a red flag, in order to get the field all bunched up together. And now on this wide part of the circuit where you've got a huge amount of tarmac, weaving the cars from side to side, which in fairness is not always without incident when you're weaving the cars down this wide part of the circuit. Keep their fingers crossed that everybody avoids everyone else as they do it, but this is important work that they're doing on the run down towards the right-hander at this moment.
The race average speed is going to be a pretty slow one, I'll tell you, because we've done 3 laps in 25.5 minutes, which of course includes stoppage time, as it were, and there is the safety car. Still not going all that rapidly, but perhaps just trying to let the drivers get an opportunity once again to get a feel for the circuit.
Well, maybe nervy that he would lose some that were towards the back of the grid. Because bear in mind when we had the grid line up, so although this is not a race of 2 parts, we had a grid of 2 parts because top 6 cars waited for ages for the rest of the field to catch up. And then when we had the safety car, we again had 2 groups on the circuit. So let's keep them all bunched up together and get a proper restart.
So this is lap 4, this is the race. I know we're under the safety car and we're talking about the restart. It's the resumption of the race after that suspension period. And so as the cars now wriggle their way down towards Teddy Yip and Maternity, Lei Kit Meng, Geronimo Badaracco and Mochi Fai are the top 3 drivers. 4th, Aaron Kwong going through in 5th place. Chan Chat Yin, just to make the point about him once again, he had an accident at the end of the qualifying session yesterday, and the car did look quite battle scarred, so they've worked hard to get it sorted out overnight, but it's not quite the same livery that it was. The race will finish by time, I'm afraid to say. So that means that we will go to the clock, and that means we've got 8 minutes remaining, that's all. So it's going to be a lap 2. So it's a real shame for these drivers that we've ended up in this situation, that most of their mileage would have been behind the safety car. But let's keep our fingers crossed that we go green this time. But we're looking at, well, it's going to be probably 6 minutes, in fairness, by the time they get to the line. But anyway, let's worry about what we have when the green flag flies.
And make no mistake, they will not be worried. They would have liked a full race, but they will still be as delighted and elated as if they had a full 10-lap race, because they're here at Macau. Yeah. They're racing. They are opening the racing here at Macau, and this is special. They only have 1 race. They raced today. The sister Roadsports, the Macau SAR Establishment Cup, will race over 12 laps tomorrow morning at 9:35. I wonder if that might be reduced to 10 laps as well. I fancy it probably will be. But this collection of Roadsports race only today. And we are now just under 7 minutes of this race remaining as they thread their way up. Oh, it's still 12 laps.
Oh, 10 laps. You're right. Yeah.
So 10 laps tomorrow for the Establishment Cup as well. The Macau Special Administrative Region Establishment Cup, a unique race for this weekend, and it means that Roadsports are very well presented over the course of the 4 days of the 71st Macau Grand Prix.
Right, we're almost there, aren't we?
We righted together.
We did, yes. A double right. So hopefully the safety car will peel in this time. There's no real reason for it to stay out, and yes, it has gone, look, because it's now up to Lei Kit Meng to control the pace. He's got everybody behind him, and now starts to accelerate. The safety car comes into the pit lane, so we're going to be back racing. Lei Kit Meng accelerates relatively early. Now, don't forget, you can't overtake until you get over the timing line. So what we now really do not need is for people to make mistakes in the last couple of corners and delay the restart even more, because we've got them all across the line. What you will see, you've got a glimpse of it there from Badaracco's car, because these are pretty standard when they hit the brakes. You get the hazard lights on like it's an emergency stop. But we are racing now as over the line goes Lei Kit Meng, Geronimo Badaracco in 2nd place, half a second back as they resume the race in 3rd, Mochi Fai. And he's fallen back ever so slightly with Aaron Kwong in 4th place. Down towards Mandarin they come once more, and Lei Kit Meng to the eye looks as though he's managed to make that break, and he's not going to be challenged by Badaracco. He won't get a tow, but in contrast, Mochi Fai in the red car will get a tow from Badaracco. Look, they're almost nose to tail, Aaron.
Initially, Badaracco was going with Lei Kit Meng, but once they really got going, got across the line, Lei Kit Meng got the advantage. Maybe because Badaracco is having to defend as well. They go down towards Lisboa. They're all going to bunch up together as they go through the right-hander, all neatly through. The top 4 are neatly through. Is everybody else through as well? We can watch just in the background as we look back from San Francisco Hill, where the leader is now. Badaracco has closed up a bit on Lei Kit Meng, and in turn, top 4 cars all bunch up together, don't they, as they now go into the slightly more narrow and demanding section of the gear circuit.
Absolutely right. So look down from the high shot up towards Teddy Yip and Maternity they go. Geronimo Badaracco dropping away from Lei Kit Meng, even though he out-qualified Lei. He's not being able to go after him really here. Mochi Fai in that 3rd place, but all the experience that these drivers have of Macau being put to good use. You saw the hazard lights stab on there as Lei Kit Meng hit the brakes, and now wriggling their way down towards Police and then on towards Moorish. lead gap there has come down a bit, hasn't it? Because Mochi Fai suddenly drops into the clutches of Aaron Kwong.
Yeah, so Mochi Fai is defending now, and Kwong right there behind the third place car, and that has allowed Geronimo Badaracco to pull forward a little bit and to slightly more to the back of the leader car. And Lei Kit Meng is now going to have to pay a little bit of attention to the mirrors as they get past those two right-handers, Police and Moorish. Onto the left-hander, Donna Maria turns in, left-hander, or a long left-hander as well, which will take them up towards the Macau hairpin. No overtaking here. Well, the gap is waxing and waning because Badaracco seems to be a little bit closer to third place, Mochi Fai, as they head into the braking area for the Macau hairpin. And once again, Lei Kit Meng a little bit more on his own.
Absolutely right. So Lei Kit Meng, race leader, getting away through Black Sands from Geronimo Badaracco, the pole position driver. There they are, Mochi Fai in the red car, the Subaru in third place, still chasing after the race leaders, but not being able to stay with them, as it's the Subaru ahead of Lei Kit Meng coming out of Fisherman's Bend. The leading quartet, look, getting away now from Chan Chak Yin in fifth place, and Lei Kit Meng is going to come through. He might squeeze 2 more laps out of this, we'll see, because we've got about 3 on the clock. If he can get back to the timing line within those 3, he's got a chance. Breaks the beam, goes through. Geronimo Badaracco is 7/10 of a second back, and they've done a 2:52, so it's going to be marginal, but they might be generous in race control and give them another lap as the leading quartet comes towards us. Lei Kit Meng from Geronimo Badaracco, third Mochi Fai, who's just not quite got that last 10th to stay with the top 2, and Badaracco now having a red-hot go, isn't he, to try to bring down that gap against Lei as they come through Mandarin. He's not close enough to make a move at Lisboa, but he has shaken off Mochi Fai behind. And is there a bit of damage to Badaracco's car? There is. It looks like the rear bumper rather than a tyre, but that's flapping in the breeze.
Yeah, they were close, weren't they? Mochi Fai in third place, and Badaracco were very, very close on the tight and twisty section. They're going to go side by side in towards Lisboa, and there's never room. There's never room when you go around the right-hander at Lisboa, and I think we just about got away with that.
That was Li Ming Yip going into the barriers. Chan Chak Yin got back ahead of him then for place, but Li Ming Yip thankfully was able to get going again. Here you go, on the inside line is Chan Chak Yin, and the conveyor belting there sort of bouncing. Li Ming Yip back towards the circuit, and thankfully he didn't get collected. Right, Aaron Kwong fourth, all over the back like a rat, and Mochi Fai now. More strife, 36 has got it wrong. That is Yun Chuk Lin. He's gone up the escape road at Lisboa by the look of it, and now he's trying to get the car fired up and will hopefully be able to rejoin. No, out he gets. So that's his race down, sadly, with flames spitting out of the exhaust. Look at this for the race lead. Badaracco having a go now. Who says you can't overtake on the mountain section of the circuit? Well, Geronimo Badaracco is right there. This could well turn out to be the last lap, because, as I say, it's going to be really marginal on the clock, and now he's got a sniff of the race lead. He's going for it.
Badaracco is driving like it's the final lap, that's for sure. Wow, what a little moment that was. Touring cars, saloon cars, road sports cars can have a look when you go on this tight and twisty section, but it requires a huge amount of bravery, and oh dear, that's going to be a very, very battered 66 car by the end of this race of So Yeng Hong, as that car has taken a couple of bashes, hasn't it? This is the battle for the lead up towards no overtaking at the Macau hairpin. The leader turns through. Lei Kit Meng, he was on the top step of the podium last year in the 70th anniversary race. And let's see as we come down through the quick and opening section on the circuit. 33 seconds left of this race.
So down they come, and in this part of the racetrack, there will be one more lap. You can see how Lei Kit Meng is getting away. So it's going to be about 3 or 4 seconds, I think, on the clock by which they will escape by. But it does give Badaracco one more chance. Lei Kit Meng always looks the stronger, though, doesn't he? It might have been just a wobble on his part that cost him the time, rather than Badaracco being the quicker over the mountain part. Here they come, then, out of our bend. And 1 lap to go. Drama in the background. Kwong in the wall. Bounces across the circuit. There's debris on the racetrack, but Aaron Kwong got it wrong in the background. The leaders go on to the last lap, and Aaron Kwong's car is trying to get itself out of harm's way. Lei Kit Meng led over the line by 0.9 of a second.
Yeah, 0.9 the advantage as they went onto the final lap, and that car is stricken. It's there on the right-hand side as they are just within a whisper of the start-finish line, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. We are on the last lap, whatever, and with less than a second between the top 2 as they go down towards the pinch points here, the overtaking points at Lisboa. We get another view as the leader comes through, second place Badaraco comes through, and we're going to see in the background what happens. It's a typical last corner moment, isn't it?
Yeah, just too quick into the corner. The car lost traction, slides and goes bang into the barrier. And Aaron Kwong then has not come through. On that lap, he'd done an absolute best within the first sector. But Lei Kit Meng, with the lights are flashing again, the hazard lights coming on as he hits the brakes. He's done the fastest lap, and he's getting away with another personal best within sector 1. And a red flag is being shown to stop the race. And the checkered flag is going to be shown as well. That's a shame, because the majority had gone past the incident zone, but a red flag is being shown. Now, is it for another incident? Because here in replay, no, that was 66 of So Yang Hong that we saw rejoin. So we're going to end with a red, and Lei Kit Meng takes the race win. And I can only assume that is because they want the cars to be slower coming into that final corner. But the irony is that all bar 3 know the car's there.
Yeah, it's a disappointment, really. It's disappointing for them, for the drivers. The race, we're just getting notification officially that the race will not be resumed. I didn't imagine for a moment that it would have been, but we do have our top 3 for the podium. They will be as delighted as if this was a 24-hour race or a 10-lap race. They are going to be absolutely delighted. But poor old Aaron Kwong, who was well involved in that battle in the top 4, unfortunately coming to grief on the final turn. So Lei Kit Meng is going to be very happy with this. Heads around the circuit, no stranger to the top step of the podium. Here at Macau, saw him on the top step last year, and heading up towards the Melco hairpin. Everybody else threads their way around, and poor old Aaron Kwong can only be a spectator. What a huge disappointment that's going to be for him, and also he's going to know that that has cut the race short, and will feel sorry for his fellow racers. There is absolutely no doubt about that. So, yeah, disappointment.
Indeed, another battered car, and as you make the point, it's a sole race for the Roadsport drivers. Yes, there are 2 for the category, but only 1 per entry. So not a great deal of racing for them this year, sad to say, but while it was happening, it was good as ever. But a real shame that we had all those incidents and quite a lot of broken cars. But Lei Kit Meng will take the win. In fairness, you do start to appreciate why they get long practice sessions, don't you? Because over the course of the weekend, there is available track time, even if your race is cut short. Well, you have had, quite a few laps within the practice sessions, I guess.
It's a gift of a circuit. Every driver wants to be on it as much as they can be. The nature of the circuit means that very often the sessions are cut short. They get limited laps, and it's maybe the road sports that have had the most of the track time over the last couple of days, because they had a first session of the weekend with no stops at all. I think 1 yesterday in qualifying, possibly 2, but yeah, they've had a good deal of track time.
It's one of the quirks of life, in a sense, that as motor racing has become safer and the safety procedures have evolved, so do the number of interruptions, because in the old days that car would have been left there under a yellow flag. These days it's considered totally unrealistic to leave a car not just by the side, even on the racetrack, and even cover that by a yellow flag. So with no runoff area here, cars have to be moved, and therefore race is neutralised. Delighted team, though, of Lei Kit Meng. It is his team that runs the car.
How quick was the run into Mark Fairmay? Absolutely superb. I said, this means everything to Macau drivers, to Hong Kong drivers, to Chinese drivers. To be on the top step at Macau is a huge thing, and the team and the delight, the absolute delight from all of them down in Park Fame is something to enjoy.
Geronimo Badaraco joining the party as well with his Senna-esque helmet.
Very Senna helmet, yes.
And Mochi Fai joining in. So they've had about, what, 1 racing lap, two if you're lucky, and you'd think they've just won the lottery.
We're here, we're on the podium.
Absolutely. Good on them.
It's what we look forward to all year, and so, yeah, maybe that conveys better than any words just how important this meeting is for the 71st Macau Grand Prix. Lovely scenes down here in Parc Fermé. Helmets coming off, balaclavas will come off, and worn out, hot and joyous.
So there, Lei Kit Meng, a man that we saw racing in the British Formula 3 Championship many years ago, but a happy man here, winner for the second year in a row at Macau. And will now be whisked towards the podium. So the cars go to Parc Fermé, which is at the back of the paddock. Water is presented, and then the many Macau Grand Prix officials will whisk the top three of Lei Kit Meng, Geronimo Badaraco and Mochi Fai towards the Grand Prix building, where the podium awaits, and Aaron Kwong's car, that's the kind of walk of shame, isn't it, putting it on the big screens. That's why we had to stop, chaps. It's because of him.
It's so sad, isn't it?
Well, it is, especially given that he was in fourth place and running well, but a real shame. And I did say, didn't I, about Lei Kit Meng going early and how we needed to make sure people didn't make an error because the speed was higher on that restart, and that's what he did. You know, he came into the corner rapidly on a safety car restart, and the tyres just didn't quite have the bite.
Meanwhile,
yes, Lei Kit Meng and his victory party with Geronimo Badaraco in blue overalls and Mochi Fai head to the podium.
If you could bottle this feeling, if you could bottle these emotions and joy, you would be a very, very rich entrepreneur, because the scenes of joy on the walk from Parc Fermé, and the big roof that we've got this year in the Parc Fermé area, time to even stop for a selfie or two on the way. The officials will be making sure.
Yes, come on.
But you need to leave here.
You spend a lot of your life in the UK conducting podium ceremonies, dealing with drivers that are happy they've won, grumpy they've not. But if that were a UK race, there wouldn't be a smile amongst them because they'd had so little racing, and yet the joy is just unbridled. It's remarkable to see.
I think we should take the video of the last 3 or 4 minutes and show it to young drivers and say, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to be.
When you launch Podium School, you can use that as your first lesson.
Podium School, what a good idea.
Well, the suffered. The bike's put onto tomorrow. Provisional result then, after 5 laps, Lei Kit Meng the winner from Geronimo Badaraco, and Mochi Fai taking third, and they will go to the podium. 4th, Chan Chat Yin ahead of Li Ming Yip, and then Chan Chi Ha in 6th. Rui Valenti was 7th from Yun Chut Lun, Feng Hoi Ting 9th, and So Yang Hong, despite his damage, rounding out the top 10. 11th was Wong Kar Hong ahead of Gerald Lau and Tang Yu Ching. Kwang Kar Kit was next from Chen Kar Kun and Zhao Meng. Lam Chan Chung was 17th ahead of Vicky Law, with the last finisher being Wu Wai Hung. We lost, of course, Aaron Kwong on the restart. We lost the rest on the opening lap of the race within the first couple of sectors of the lap.
So we stand by and wait for the drivers to assemble at the back of a very grand podium, which was a new podium built for last year, the 70th celebration. 2 weekend meeting last year for the 70th celebration for the Macau Grand Prix. The previous decade, we got this wonderful new race control building, race administration building, which is just next to the podium. And it really, in the last 10 years, it is has become an iconic building, hasn't it? With the distinctive corporate colours, the yellow and black of the Macau Grand Prix. It is a huge circular building which overlooks the start-finish line, and just next to it, a big podium area with a huge LED screen behind it, which can show all the action over the course of the day and weekend, but also the flags of the winners, the nations. It's such a versatile thing, which has been presented to us last year for the podium presentation.
Mochi Fai for third, Geronimo Badaraco for second, and Lei Kit Meng, the race winner, will go to the podium, where the laurels will be presented by Dr. Kent Wong, the Chief Advisor of Melco Resorts and Entertainment, and the trophies will be presented by Craig Fullerlove, who is the Chief Financial Officer and Chief Administrative Officer of Wynn Macau Limited. All the major resorts and casinos having a huge active supporting involvement within the Macau Grand Prix, as it has been for many seasons. So the drivers are being rounded up, as I say, brought to the pit building. The dignitaries will be made ready as well. The photographers are there. The podium announcements will be made. And 3 very happy drivers will join us on the podium in a few moments' time. The Macau Roadsport Challenge that has all of its races at the Zhuzhou circuit. But then at the end of the championship, as you've seen, you take the best out of the 2 groups, put them into one race this weekend, and this, if you like, secondary field, having the Saturday race with the top 28 in the championship doing the Sunday. So there is the podium with the artwork for this year reflecting Peter Hickman, Raffaele Marciello and Luke Browning, the Grand Prix winners last year, motorbike Grand Prix, the single-seater Grand Prix, and of course the FIA GT World Cup for Raffaele Marciello. Luke Browning not here this year because he's racing in a different category. Raffaele Marciello is, but in a different manufacturer. Peter Hickman is, and he's qualified on the front row for the motorcycle Grand Prix for tomorrow morning. So we are ready, I think, for our first podium of the weekend.
Presentation ceremony. And now we're going to present trophies for the Macau Roadsport Challenge. First of all, please welcome our winners. Second runner-up,
number 2, Mo Chi5 from Macau, China. Congratulations. And the first one up, number 28, Jay Badalaku, Balabanj from Macau, China. And our winner, number 7, Lei Kit Meng from Macau, China as well. Congratulations. And now, may we invite Dr. Ken Wong, Chief Advisor of Macau Resorts and Entertainment, to present the laurels to our winner. Dr. Wong, please. Wow, congratulations, what a moment. And now firstly present to our second runner-up. And then the first runner-up, Jay Badalaku. And our winner, Lei Kit Meng, again, standing on the top of our podium. Congratulations. Dr. Wong, let's have a photo. 有請咁多位望向前幫我哋嚟張合照先. Let's take a good photo together. Thank you, Dr. Ken Wong, thank you. And our winners, please remain. Now may we invite Mr. Craig Fulalov, Chief Financial Officer and Chief Administrative Officer of Win Macau Limited, to present the trophies in a bit of the time. And now let's take one more photo. 好事成雙，我哋再嚟一張合照. All right, thank you so much. 多謝晒黃星雄博士. Thank you, Dr. Ken Wong. And now we would like to invite Mr. Craig Fulalov, the Chief Financial Officer and the Chief Administrative Officer of Win Macau Limited, to present the trophies. First, to our second one-up, number 2, Mo Chi5. Yes, congratulations. And then to our first one-up, Jay Badalaku. Muito parabéns. Yes, and last but not the least, for sure, our winner, number 7, Lei Kit Meng. And all of them are from Macau, China. Congratulations, Mr. Fulalov. Let's take a photo. Please look at the cameras right in front. Okay, please remain. Okay, one more photos, right? No problem. And now, may I invite Dr. Ken Wong to join us for one more photo. Mr. Craig Fulalov, please remain. Let's have one photo together. Okay, together on the podium, let's face the camera. All right, 3, 2, 1, cheers, congratulations. Really a happy and glory moment for our Macau drivers. Congratulations. Thank you, our guests. Thank you. 有請車手留步，亦都恭喜晒。唔該晒兩位頒獎嘉賓。Thank you，黃星雄博士亦都 Thank you, Mr. Craig Fulalov. And now it's time for the champagne shower. Please remain. All right, let's celebrate. Okay, what a moment! Congratulations to our winners from Macau, China.
So a very, very happy
恭喜
podium.
晒
And,
三位 ，congratulations！
Lei Kit Meng on the top step, delighted with that. Understandably so,
非
Geronimo
常之咧，替
Badaracco
我哋澳門
and
嘅
Mo
幾位
Chi
車
Fai
手
joining him
值
for the
得
top
高興
three.
三位同事站上我哋頒獎台，獲得今次澳門路車挑戰賽嘅獎項，恭喜晒 ！Congratulations, thank you so much. And let's look forward to the next race in a bit of the time. See you soon. Thank you.
So for the moment, the Macau Gear Circuit falls silent. It will be touring cars that are the next activity in about 20 minutes' time. Also on track for the first of the two races this weekend to determine TCR World Tour, TCR China, TCR Asia champions. But well done yet again to Lei Kit Meng. Doesn't matter what the category is, a win at Macau is a win at Macau, and he's a very happy man nonetheless, and celebrates, as you saw, in fine style at the end of our first race of the weekend, the Macau Roadsport Challenge.
嚟到澳門路車挑戰賽正賽嘅賽後記者會。首先，我哋恭喜台上面嘅三位車手，佢哋分別係冠軍黎傑明、亞軍巴德華高同埋季軍嘅毛志輝嘅。Welcome to the post-race press conference of the Macau Roadsport Challenge. We have on stage with us third place Mo Chi Fai, second place Geronimo Badaracco, and first place we have 李傑明。三位我哋台下就睇得好緊張啦，又紅旗又黃旗咁樣，又安全車，可唔可以同我哋講下你哋喺賽道上面嘅感受呢？或者我哋由李傑明開始啊？
其實我都係盡量做好自己啦，盡量唔好俾外來嘅因素去影響到自己嘅心情。咁喺呢度我亦都好感謝澳門政府啊，對我哋本澳車手嘅支持，亦都好感謝 AAMC 啦，因為主辦個新嘅賽事都唔係易嘅。其次好感謝我嘅贊助商啦，我嘅團隊啦，特別係卡尼集團啦，佢對我多年嚟嘅支持，喺呢度好衷心去感謝佢哋。就特別我個團隊啦，因為我個團隊跟住我都有超過30年。
不打個。
Hello, testing yes。唔好意思，頭先問啲咩㗎？
比賽過程同埋感受。
比賽過程啊，如果唔係發生嗰個紅旗咧 ，safety car 出嚟咧，應該我同阿李傑明車手咧會更加好玩，更加激烈嘅玩得。咁剩翻幾個圈，咁首先起步嗰陣時咧，其實我都起得幾好噶啦。不過可能李傑明咧就比架車，即係對架車咧比較熟悉啲，即係始終舊年佢都喺澳門跑道。贏過唔係揸過同贏過呢場賽事嘅，咁今日起第2嘅我都好滿意嚇，唔該。
我比賽過程中咧都好開心，因為今年咧係第2年揸呢架車。起步嗰陣時都算起得幾好。喺葡京前咧可以超到幾架車，咁一路上如果唔係咁多意外咧，其實呢場賽事都好好睇，好好玩。
Thank you. So a quick recap of what our winners have shared with us. So let me start from Lei Kip-ming. Lei Kip-ming think racing in Macau has always been challenging. So he knows that the importance is to take advantage as early as possible and stay focused. He would like to take the opportunity to thank the Macau government for supporting Macau racing drivers, the AMC for having the race, and also his sponsors and team, especially for his team who's been with him for over 3 decades. Second place, we have Badaracco. He thinks that the race could be more intense and could be more exciting if it wasn't for the safety car and red flag. He had a pretty good start, but he thinks that Lei Kim-ming is more familiar with his car, but overall he's very happy with the result. For our third place, Mo Shifai, he's very happy with the race. This is his 2nd year in the same car. He had a good start and had a few overtakes before Lisboa. And overall, he thinks that if, like what Badaracco had said, if it wasn't with the safety car and the red flag, the race would be even more interesting. Now the floor is open for questions. 有冇記者朋友需要問問題? If no, then this is the end of the press conference. Thank you very much. 麻煩3位企一企身，我哋影翻張合照，恭喜晒。